Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is the 13th in my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, and my favorite television show. I started in 1950, we're up to 1962. Also, I need to say that I have to have a physical copy of it in my collection in order to pick it. And for the television series, they are only eligible their debut season, but I will take the full run of the series into consideration. So let's get started with my third runner-up for Album of the Year for 1962, and that's The Duke of Earl by Gene Chandler. There he is, looking really spiffy right there. The album contains his 1961 hit that provides the album title, and it was recorded with the Duquesnes, his former doo-wop group. The tune Night Owl on the album was released as a single in 1961 as a Duquesnes tune. There it is right there, Night Owl. Festival of Love and I Wake Up Crying are also highlights on here. Yeah, The Duke of Earl, Gene Chandler. Oh, and this was on the VJ label. And I put out a lot of great stuff, especially R&B and soul in the early 60s. All right, for my second runner-up, it's Only Love Can Break a Heart from Gene Pitney. Song title's there. But some saw the early 60s as kind of a lull after rock arrived in the 50s and before the British invasion. But I thought there were a lot of fine pop tunes that were released. I've always loved Gene Pitney's unique voice. This is probably his best album with many of his hits on here, like the title track, True Love Never Runs Smooth, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Half Heaven, Half Heartache, Only Love Can Break a Heart, Donna Means Heartache. Yeah, this has a ton of great hits on there. Gene Pitney, Only Love Can Break a Heart is my second runner-up. And, he was on the Musicor label. For my first runner-up, I only have it on CD, but it's Howlin' Wolf right there. This collects 12 singles released between 1960 and 1962. It's sometimes called the Rocking Chair album. You can see tracks on the back. This is a two-for with his album Moanin' in the Moonlight. But yeah, this Howlin' Wolf album, it contains such tunes as Shake for Me, Who's Been Talking, an original by him, Spoonful, and Backdoor Man. Most of the songs on the album were written by the great blues songwriter Willie Dixon. But yeah, Howlin' Wolf, self-titled album, or the Rockin' Chair album, you can call it as well. And my favorite album from 1962 is Ray Charles, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. There's the back. On the ABC Paramount label. This was a landmark album with Charles giving soulful renderings to popular country songs. Soul artists had performed country tunes for some time. In fact, Solomon Burke had a big hit the same year with the country song Just Out of Reach of My Two Empty Arms, or Open Arms, I'm sorry. But the whole album of country covers was a unique venture. Has like I Can't Stop Loving You, Born to Lose, You Don't Know Me, Careless Love. This fantastic album by Ray Charles. Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. My album of the year for 1962. And for my favorite song of 1962, the fourth runner-up from Sam Cooke. This is a great collection, Portrait of a Legend, 1951 and 1964. Unfortunately, I only have this song on CD, and it's Having a Party. Sam Cooke. This song was written by Cooke and was the A-side of the single Bring It On Home to Me, another great Cooke tune. But it's a happy up-tempo song that became a show closer for all of his concerts, or most of his concerts. They had a whole bunch of backing musicians, including Lou Rawls on backing vocals. I always kind of wondered, because he talks about the Cokes being in the icebox, if that could be played on the BBC radio, because I didn't think you could have any endorsements of any kind of products on the BBC. But yeah, Great song by Sam Cooke, Having a Party. My third runner-up for song of 1963, you've seen this album already, but I'm going to show it again because it's Gene Pitney and the song The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I do love the movie as well, but this Gene Pitney had this very distinctive voice that just really suits his 60s pop hits. And whether the song was intended for the movie or not, I don't think it really would have fit, and it wasn't used. But I do like how it recounts some of the movie's plot points. The song was written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. Just a great tune, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance by Gene Pitney. My second runner-up from an artist I've already talked about when I was talking about Ray Charles, and that's Solomon Burke. And it's his song, Cry to Me. Our first song on the second side there. This is a hits collection that was on the Atlantic label. But the song was written by Burt Burns, and Burke was the first to record it. Burke, American soul singer with kind of this grittier voice, but he had a gospel background, which helped in that. He, like Ray Charles, had several soul hits with country covers. He was often called the king of rock and soul. The song just kind of contains a longing for romance. Just a great tune. Cry for Me from Solomon Burke. My first runner-up, the great Mose Allison. This is the best of Mose Allison, and it's Your Mind is on Vacation. This is on the Atlantic label as well. Mose Allison was a jazz pianist and singer and songwriter, often mixing in the blues as well. He may not be known by all, but you may know his song Young Man Blues, which was covered by The Who on Live at Leeds. And Van Morrison was a fan, and he needed a whole album of Allison covers. This song was on his album, I Don't Worry About a Thing. And the song goes, I don't worry about a thing because nothing's going to turn out right, which is a great tune as well. And Mose liked to inject humor into his tunes. Your mind is on vacation and your mouth is working overtime. Mose Allison, my first runner-up with Your Mind is on Vacation. And my favorite song from 1962 is going to be by Arthur Alexander, and that's the song Soldiers of Love. The song was written by Buzz Cason and Tony Moon, and this was the original version by soul artist Arthur Alexander, who is sometimes called a country soul artist. It's a beautiful tune with a great call and response with the backup singers. He was also a songwriter, and his songs have been covered by everyone from the Beatles to the Stones, Elvis Presley, and Bob Dylan. Not bad. I think on here, the Beatles did Anna and You Better Move On, which I think were penned by Arthur Alexander. But yeah, Arthur Alexander, Soldiers of Love, my favorite song from 1962. I also want to say that down below, I will leave links to cuts from all the albums I've picked and cuts for my favorite songs as well. And let's move on to my favorite film from 1962. My fourth runner-up is going to be from Frank Sinatra. It's the movie The Manchurian Candidate. This is on a Sinatra collection, which is it's pretty nice. Got some nice photos and stuff in here. It's a great conspiracy thriller with many edge-of-your-seat moments. This stars Frank Sinatra in one of his best performances, and also features Angela Lansbury in quite a different role. It's not a Murder, She Wrote for sure, and she was quite frightening in this. This movie still packs a punch. The Manchurian Candidate with Frank Sinatra, that's going to be my fourth runner-up. My third runner-up is, and I just rewatched this, and sometimes I think maybe I should have moved this up because this is a great film. And it's Ride the High Country with Sam Peckinpah. Some consider this Peckinpah's best film. I would still pick The Wild Bunch, but it's a very good film starring Randolph Scott and Joel McCrea, two old Western veterans. And in this movie, they played two aging ex-lawmen, hired to bring a gold shipment from the mines to town. One partner has other ideas, and one of them says that he just wants to enter his house justified. In the end, I think both of them feel that way. It's a film about redemption. Ride the High Country, just a great Western. This was indeed a stacked year to have Ride the High Country as my third runner-up, and to have this, To Kill a Mockingbird, as my second runner-up, directed by Robert Mulligan. A very captivating film based on the Harper Lee novel, with Gregory Peck as attorney Atticus Finch, defending a black man accused of raping a white woman in the deep South of the 30s. What really sticks out in my mind is Mary Badham as his child Scout, with some of her narration and her description of Robert Duvall in his first major film role as Boo Radley. Just an excellent film, To Kill a Mockingbird. And my first runner-up, it's Lawrence of Arabia, directed by David Lean. This is a Blu-ray copy. If ever a movie was made to be seen on the big screen, it's this one. Peter O'Toole is magnificent as the real-life legend T.E. Lawrence, trying to unite Arab tribes for battle. The cinematography is amazing and has everything an epic should be. I just saw where Steven Spielberg said this is probably the movie he has seen more than any other film in his life, which that's high praise. Lawrence of Arabia, my first runner-up. And my favorite film of 1962 is The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It's also my favorite Western of all time. It's got James Stewart and John Wayne in fine form here. And also great is Lee Marvin as the villain, Liberty Valance. John Wayne's Tom Donovan in this, and James Stewart's Ransom Stoddard. But a newspaper reporter learns about the true story of the man who shot Liberty Valance, and then he says in the end, "This is the West. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. But it is quite a story." This is a great film, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, my favorite film from 1962. I also want to put a plug in for on Brian Massey's channel called Massey's Main Entertainment. I'll put a link below. We are now to our 10 favorite movies of all time. I pick mine as well as Brian does, and Rich Strickler and Doc. So please head over there and see what our top 10 films of all time are. You're probably going to see them as we go through some of these years as well. But anyway, now we're to the TV shows. And before I give you my top ones, this didn't make a runner-up for me, but I thought it was an interesting TV series. It's Stony Burke. And it's interesting because you've got Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0 playing a rodeo cowboy. But the interesting thing about this series that it was the main force behind it was Leslie Stevens, who was the creator of The Outer Limits, which is kind of interesting. And now for my favorite television show from 1962, the third runner-up is Sam Benedict. Now, it's sometimes called a Perry Mason copy. It starred Edmund O'Brien as defense attorney Sam Benedict, who was actually based on a real-life attorney, Jack Ehrlich, who also served as a technical consultant for the show. It was, however, not based on any of his real-life cases. It's very enjoyable, but only lasted one season. Edmund O'Brien also starred in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance as the man who ran the newspaper in that town. So anyway, just a little extra on that. My second runner-up, it is McHale's Navy. This is season 1 that I just pulled out. This was a fun comedy series and a favorite of my dad's about a misfit PT boat crew during World War II stationed in the South Pacific. It starred Ernest Borgnine, known mainly for serious roles. And also we get to see Tim Conway in an early comedic role. We also get an early look at Raquel Welch in one episode, which gives it some extra points. My first runner-up from 1962 is The Virginian. This is the first season. They came in these nice metal containers, and then they have this season in here. Yeah, really nicely developed, nicely packaged, I guess I should say. But The Virginian with James Drury as the Virginian, the ranch foreman for the Shiloh Ranch in the Wyoming Territory. We never do learn his name through the entire series. This was also the first series to have 90-minute episodes. It was in color. It had different actors portraying the ranch owner, starting with Lee J. Cobb, who spent the most seasons as the ranch owner. This series also gets extra credit for having possibly Raquel Welch's first acting role in season 3 as a saloon girl. She also had a movie come out that same year, so I'm not sure which came out first, this or the movie. But and anyway, also James Drury, who was the Virginian, played kind of a bad guy in Ride the High Country. And for my favorite TV show from 1962, it is The Saint. This is the first and second season, but I have all the seasons on DVD. The character was based on a series of novels and short stories by Leslie Charteris. Hope I'm saying his name right. That or Leslie Charteris? I think it's Charteris. And the character was a staple on radio and film before becoming a TV series. In fact, the film series first started with Hugh Sinclair as the Saint, and later George Sanders took over and became the Saint. That's some of the ones that he starred in. But anyway, like I said, his name was Simon Templar, and he was sort of a thief, amateur detective, and British intelligence agent. Roger Moore is the Saint, and I think this is his best role. I think he was much more suited to this, even more than his later performances as James Bond. But yeah, The Saint with Roger Moore, my favorite television show from 1962. Please leave down your favorites as well, because I've always liked discovering new shows and movies and songs and albums as well. And I hope everyone is doing well. I'll see you in 1963.